Hello again, I'm Robert Fithen. You might have seen my previous video, which is a track versus track video, where I took the Beach Boys' Love You album and pitted it up against a blank 8-track tape from Memorex. But people were like, you know what, that's real cute. Why don't you do a real one? And I thought that was a real one. I mean, it was very legitimate to me, but okay, I will do two proper albums taking each other on, track versus track. Okay, and I decided to do the Beatles because actually it's been a little while since I've talked about the Beatles, and you know, they just really don't get talked about enough here in the vinyl community or anywhere. So yeah, they definitely need a little more exposure, and I thought I would be generous and give that to them today. So yeah, the Beatles, I've got Help going up against Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Now you've seen maybe some people doing track versus track. Usually it's Rubber Soul taking on Revolver. Or, you know, Please Please Me taking on With the Beatles, or maybe like a couple of American albums even. But I wanted to do these two because these are two completely different types of, there's two different types of music on here, completely. And really the albums are only 2 years apart. So it really shows the, you know, the creative direction the Beatles were going in. This is obviously thought of as a lot of people as very inventive, very much influential and everything. But I don't want to like, you know, say that this isn't very inventive and influential either. I did a really deep dive into the year 1965 a couple of years ago where I took 2 months and listened to nothing but albums from 1965. I must have listened to like 100. I mean, I was just all day, all night. You know, I had a lot of free time at that point. And it really showed how much further along the Beatles were, even in 1965 with this album, than a lot of other musical acts at that time. I mean, they really, you hear that in context to other albums from 1965, you understand why the Beatles are so revered. But, so yeah, the Beatles, Help, of course, the UK version with 14 tracks, going up Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. This was an album, this was like one of the last Beatles albums I ever got. I started getting Beatles albums when I was around 9 years old. I got this for my 12th birthday. So I was able, with birthdays and Christmas, to get a lot of them. And this one, you know, so this doesn't have the sentimental value that some of their earlier ones did. Because like I said, this one came along kind of late for me. But we'll pit these two up and see how it shakes out track versus track. Now, I got this idea, of course, from people like Paul from the As It Should Be channel. I know Richard from Calvin and Wazoo has done a couple of these at this point. Other people have done these. I'm sure that they got their ideas from other people previously. But so yeah, I just want to give a shout out to them stealing yet another idea from the As It Should Be channel. But starts off with, these two albums do have a similarity. They do start off with title tracks. Of course, you have the Beatles' Help kicking this off, and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band kicks this off. These are also two albums that have to do with movies. Of course, this one, the soundtrack to a legitimate Beatles movie, and this later became a movie with other people like George Burns singing Beatles songs, Bee Gees, you know, yeah, Billy Preston is on here, so that's legitimate. He was actually with the Beatles, but you also have Frankie Howard. You have Peter Frampton, you have Alice Cooper on here. I think most people consider the Earth, Wind and Fire cover of Got to Get You Into My Life probably the highlight of this. Also, Aerosmith does come together, and if you watch my previous two Aerosmith videos, you notice I didn't even mention that song, so that should tell you something about that. But yeah, Help going up against the song Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the two songs, and I am definitely going to choose the song Help as the winner to that. What a great song, mature songwriting creeping into the Beatles catalog at that point. And it works as a ballad, as Tina Turner has proven, but I really like the way it has these searching, longing, pleading vocals going along with this really fast, upbeat pop music. I really love it when you have that sort of contrast there, and Help definitely has that. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the song, kind of sounds like they're taking on the Monkees or something, who had just released their debut a year before. I mean, the Beatles had never had an album that starts off with introducing the band and, hey, we're the Monkees. It's kind of like, hey, we're Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. We hope you enjoy the show. You know, I don't know if anybody's ever made that comparison before, but yeah, I'm going to choose Help on that one. So we move on to track 2, which is on Help is The Night Before. On this one is With a Little Help from My Friends. So we've got another help song here going up against The Night Before. And yeah, wow, that's a tough one. Ringo coming in with track 2. That never happens on a Beatles album except for this one where he's so early, you know, right there, track 2, you've already got a Ringo song. So I really appreciate that. Love Ringo. Yeah, I really want to do it with a little help from my friends because it's a Ringo song and it's his big, you know, one of his big songs. But The Night Before is just so good. It makes a great second track too. Always loved that song. Heard that song first on the Rock and Roll Music compilation. That was the first 2 Beatles albums I ever got. And so all the songs on there are special to me. And The Night Before is one of those. And we said our goodbye. Yeah, I'm going with The Night Before. Sorry. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, but this is my opinion. If you're not sure what that means, it's OPINION. You can look that up. But my opinion is that I like The Night Before a little better than with a little help from my friends. You can tell if you have an early version of the American Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album, if it just is called A Little Help from My Friends without the with on the label. But if you ever figured it out by now too, there's 2 ways to do this. Some people do it to where they list their favorite songs in a row and then put those against each other. And then the other way to do it is just to go in the order that they play on the record. So I'm doing it that way. Track 3, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. A great song. Again, the mature songwriting from the Beatles continues, but it's going up against Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. You know what? It's going to be Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album, getting one in there. So far it's 2-1. But yeah, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, with the whole controversy about, is it mean LSD? No, it's a painting my son created and called it Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. The whole imagery, the tangerines and the marmalade skies and the cellophane flowers appearing on the shore. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. Mono version sounds different than the stereo one because the vocal has this sort of reverb on it on the mono version. I like them both. So we're up to track 4 now, and that is I Need You from Help, taking on Getting Better from Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Don't even have to think about it. Hands down, probably a controversial choice, but I Need You is the one. That's not even a thought. I mean, you know, it's a little shaky between The Night Before and with a little help from my friends. You've Got to Hide Your Love Away is a great song. Lucy in the Sky with Diamond takes that one, but I had no problem saying I Need You over Getting Better. I've never really been a fan of the Getting Better song, except for the part where John Lennon comes in and goes, "It can't get much worse." I like that. But I've never, it's getting better, better, better. Getting so much better all the time. It's getting better all the time. I've never cared for that song that much. So it's a low point for me on the Sgt. Pepper album. So definitely I Need You. And that whole part where he's like, I used to beat the hell out of my girlfriend, but hey, I'm trying to change. I'm doing the best I can. I Need You. With that guitar, that... Oh, love it. Love it. It's a great George song. I don't think George likes the song, but I do, and it's my video. Track 5 is Another Girl going up against Fixing a Hole. And I didn't pre-plan any of this, so I don't know where this is going. I don't know who's going to win here, but this is a tough one. Another Girl, Fixing a Hole. Fixing a Hole is like Getting Better somewhat to me. Not a favorite. Another Girl is not really a favorite either. It's kind of an upbeat, kind of, you know, the throwback kind of older type Beatles song, you know. This time you'd better stop, for I have got another girl. You know, I never understood that. What does it matter if she stops or not? If he's got another girl, he's moved on. What does he care what she does? Yeah, and then the Fixing a Hole is kind of psychedelic, the Fixing a Hole. But again... You know what? We'll come back to this one. I'm not going to waste a bunch of time sitting here going, we'll come back to this. Number 6, You're Going to Lose That Girl. She's Leaving Home. Wow, here we are again. Love both these songs. See, now, if You're Going to Lose That Girl was taken on Fixing a Hole, You're Going to Lose That Girl would take that. It wouldn't even be a question. I love that song. Nice cautionary tale about, you don't start treating her right, you're going to lose that girl. Known differently in the U.S. In the U.K., it's You're Going to Lose That Girl. In the US, it's called You're Gonna Lose That Girl, if you've ever noticed that. Yeah. She's Leaving Home, though. I mean, yeah, I love You're Going to Lose That Girl, but I'm going to have to go with She's Leaving Home. What an incredible song. What an incredibly sad song. What a fully thought out, the imagery that song brings up. You can just see all of these things happening that they're talking about. And it's a great song. I do prefer the stereo version of that song, definitely, though. The mono version seems to be going faster, seems to be sped up. I don't know what that's all about, but the stereo version of She's Leaving Home is the preferable one to me. And I think a lot of parents like that song. When they grew up with the Beatles and they had kids, and now the kids are like, 18 or 20, or in some cases 37, and they're finally leaving home, and it really, hits them, that song. So, yeah, She's Leaving Home. Great. I mean, You're Going to Lose That Girl is wonderful, but She's Leaving Home is going to take that one. Track 7 is Ticket to Ride. And that is going, the big hit single, one of the big hit singles off here, taking on Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite. Ticket to Ride's a single. Ticket to Ride's a big hit. Ticket to Ride's a great song. Love the music of that. Love the feel of that. Everything about that song is great. Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite is my favorite song on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, so that wins. What a great, the circus music, the randomness of it, the story about how he just threw these tape splices together and created this masterpiece. Awesome. Again, my favorite song from this album, so obviously that's going to win over just about anything off of Help. So, yeah, Ticket to Ride, again, great. I mean, a lot of these songs are great. Just because the song loses doesn't mean it's not great, but I'm going to definitely go with Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, which at this point we are, we're tied 3-3. So, yeah, that's a good way to be. We're tied up. So we've turned the record over now. We're on side 2. Track versus track here. We've got Act Naturally, a Ringo song where he's covering Buck Owens, going up against Within You, Without You. I almost said With or Without You, the U2 song. Within You, Without You. Wow. Talk about two dramatically different songs. Buck Owens taking on Eastern music. So, man. Wow. Within You, Without You used to be one of my least favorite songs on here. I would always, when I would play the record as a kid, I would usually just start. Well, I won't give it away, but I will say I would not start at the beginning of side 2 a lot of the times. I would not do that. But I've grown to appreciate it a lot more. Act Naturally is kind of goofy. I can't believe that was going to be the rumor is that was going to be a single. That was going to be an A-side. And Yesterday was going to be the B-side. That's why when you buy like the Apple re-release of the 45 on Apple Records that came out later, Act Naturally is the green apple side and Yesterday is the sliced apple side, because Act Naturally, they still had it in the system or whatever as that was the A side, even though that never came to be. I'm going to go Within You, Without You. I'm not really passionate about either one, but Within You, Without You is so much more of an iconic kind of song. It's so much more of a different kind of song. Act Naturally is just them doing another cover. It is a country cover, but it's great. Nice that they're tipping the hat to another capital artist in the U.S., but Within You, Without You. I'll just do that. Let me just do that. So we're up to track 8, which is It's Only Love going up against When I'm 64. Now, I've had You've Got to Hide Your Love Away going up against Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, and Night Before taking on With a Little Help from My Friends. You'll Lose That Girl, She's Leaving Home, Ticket to Ride, taking on Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite. Those all have something in common. It was hard because I liked both songs. Somewhat different levels of difficulty. This one is the opposite. I don't care about either of these songs. But It's Only Love is a song I'm indifferent to. When I'm 64 is a song I do not like. It is my least favorite song on this album. So just by that, It's Only Love is the winner. I do not like When I'm 64. I do not like that silly... Oh, we can bid the big cottage in the Isle of Wight. If it's not too dear, we shall scrimp and grandchildren on your knee. All of a sudden he's rolling R's. It's Only Love is just there, but at least it's not annoying. When I'm 64 is ridiculous. And that's what I was going to say before. When I would usually start my, after I've given it a few listens, did I just say gaving? After I'd given it a few listens, I would start on track 3, which is Lovely Rita, Meter Maid. You Like Me Too Much is the song on here that it's facing off against. No competition at all. Lovely Rita, Meter Maid. A little sing-songish, but it works for that song for whatever reason. And I love the ending where it's like, woo, whatever all that is, with the piano. Yeah, Lovely Rita takes that instantly. Tell Me What You See against Good Morning, Good Morning. No contest. Don't even have to think about it. Don't care about Tell Me What You See. Nice organ, though. I like the organ. Good Morning, Good Morning. Used to be my favorite song on here when I was a kid. It's probably my second or third favorite now. Maybe fourth. But I love the intensity and just the whole, just chaos of the song with the barnyard animals and the sarcasm of, everything. Everybody's getting... I used to say everyone in town is getting drunk, but I think he actually says everyone in town, it's getting dark. I'm not sure. But it's time for tea and Meet the Wife. I didn't know until later on that Meet the Wife was actually a TV show. I thought he was he's going to meet his wife, you meet your wife somewhere for tea. But anyway, great song, great version on the anthology series as well. It's a little more rock oriented. It takes out some of the effects and, the overdubs. But love this. Good Morning against Tell Me What You See. That is not even a contest. So we're up to what? Are we up to track 12? I've Just Seen a Face. Taking on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, The Reprise. Yeah. Oh, I just want to say too, this is my... this is the one I grew up with. I do have different copies of this by now. I've got an original mono and an old stereo one, and... but this is the one with the capital purple that I grew up with. I wanted to do this one because this is the one that I heard since I was literally 12 years old on that birthday. Where I still have the insert there. Never cut that up or anything. Saved that. And I've Just Seen a Face because I grew up with this copy. That's the thing. I grew up with this album, even though it was one of the later Beatle albums that I got. I didn't really grow up with this. I didn't get this until the CD era. What I grew up with, of course, was the US version, the Help soundtrack, with 7 Beatles songs and a bunch of instrumentals. So I've Just Seen a Face is strange. It's still, after all, even since the 80s, it's still, to me, the opening track for Rubber Soul. To hear it in the middle of side 2 of something is just still weird. But yeah, it is, properly from the Help album. Not from Rubber Soul, but I... grew up with it with Rubber Soul. Taking on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band Reprise. Especially on Help, I'm going with the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band Reprise, which may be strange because the first part of that, track 1, actually lost, but I love the upbeat, especially that intro with those drums and the fast pace of it. And I prefer that over the original anyway. If those two songs are battling, I would pick the Reprise, but I'm definitely picking the Reprise over I've Just Seen a Face, which I don't mind that song. That's a good song, but I love the Reprise of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I'm not sure if I told this story before or not. I know I mentioned it in my Instagram back when I was doing Instagram, but I'd listened to this album quite a few times. And then when I was in the middle of being 12 years old or so, I listened to it on headphones. I'd got some of those real cheap, Walkman type headphones, had my record on, was playing it. And the beginning starts off 1, 2, 3, 4. Between the 2 and 3, suddenly I'm able to hear John Lennon going what I'm hearing as Bobby. Forgive me if I've mentioned this before on YouTube, but that freaked me out. My name is Robert. So when I was a little kid, I was known as Bobby. And it just, people have said, responded to my Instagram saying, well, he's saying bye. He's saying bye. I don't think people said bye that way in 1967. Maybe John Lennon started that. I don't know. But to me and my ears and my memory, he will always be going, Bobby. And not just going like, hey, Bobby, or Bobby, you know, Bobby. It was the creepiest. It creeped me out. I mean, it was one of the few times in my life where I have heard something and got like the goose flesh. Chill went up my spine. Like, people say that as a cliche. It literally did. I was freaked. Took the headphones off and went like, 12 years old. And then, put them back on and listen to it again. Bobby. Yeah, and there it is again. It's like, it freaked me out. So that's another reason why Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band Reprise wins. Listen for yourself. Like I said, it is between the 2 and 3 when McCartney is counting off 1, 2, 3, 4. Right after the 2, Bobby. Just whoa. So we're up to yesterday on the Help soundtrack, taking on A Day in the Life. Man, talk about two absolutely iconic songs. Like I said, I did not think any of this out first. Could there be a tie? I mean, both those songs are just... you can't... Wow. I've had this album for so long, by the way. I got it when I was 12, but obviously I also had it when I was a teenager and a young adult and a 20-year-old and a 30-year-old. And when you open it up, you can still see all of the residue on the gatefold from me in my 20s, late 20s, probably early 30s. All the residue there. This was the go-to album because it's bright yellow, so you could really see, all the stuff. And when you're pinching it and, kind of picking it apart and whatever, and then you get ready to roll it. This was always the go-to album. So there is about 15 years worth still in the gatefold. Anyway, back to A Day in the Life and Yesterday. Very powerful song, Yesterday. Talk about mature songwriting for 1965 and the Beatles. And it's been covered. Everybody loves it. I think this Yesterday is where people like Frank Sinatra, elder statesmen, musicians that were older, stopped thinking of them as the Fab Four and a teen and for the kids, and started thinking of them as a serious musical entity. So Yesterday's huge. A Day in the Life, with that orchestra and that last note and all those lyrics and everything, that's huge too. I don't know. I never liked the line in Yesterday where he says, I believe in yesterday. I never understood what that meant. I believe in yesterday? And also, in Yesterday, he says, why did she have to go? I don't know. She wouldn't say. I said something wrong. Okay, well then you do know. She went away because you said something wrong. Other people cover that song and then insert words in it like, I must have said something wrong. Paul McCartney goes on one of the late night talk shows. I don't remember which one it was, but he goes off on remakes that have the I must have said something wrong. He's like, what do you mean you must have said something wrong? Just own it. You said something wrong. Well, then if you say, I said something wrong, then the line right before it, I don't know why she left, doesn't make sense. You're trying to figure out why she had to go. I don't know. She wouldn't say, I must have said something wrong. Makes more sense than just leaving off the must have and doing it the way it was originally written and saying, why she had to go, I don't know. I said something wrong. You just answered your own question. So I'm going to give it to A Day in the Life, but by a morsel. I mean, I'm really trying to come up with reasons not to pick one of these. And A Day in the Life, again, with the lyrics and the middle part and then the sharing of the vocals between John and Paul, that last note, the whole orchestra orgasm, the whole thing. Blew his mind out in a car and he didn't notice that the lights had changed. I mean, writing songs like that at this point, yeah, A Day in the Life is going to take that. Found my way down, and then of course I'd love to turn you on. I mean, yeah, a day in the life gets it. But again, by a very small margin, because Yesterday is also quite an iconic song. And that leads us up to the very final track. You've got Dizzy Miss Lizzy going up against, you've probably figured out, yes, what was referred to on the Beatles' Rarities as the Sgt. Pepper Inner Groove. I never heard that growing up. On this album, I heard it. I got the Rarities album and then heard it on that. But I never. The American Sgt. Pepper thing does not have that at the end where it's like never go see any other, never go see any other, never go see any other. And on the Rarities thing, it only does it once. It doesn't keep repeating it. So apparently, the never go see any other is taking on a full song. Dizzy Miss Lizzy. By the way, if you play that backwards, it's fuck me like a Superman, fuck me like a Superman. So that's kind of cool. But Dizzy Miss Lizzy, I've always loved that song. People don't like that song. I love that song. I love the fact that George Harrison just plays the same guitar riff through the whole thing. And it's fast, it's awesome, and the best way to hear it is on Rock and Roll Music. That remaster of that is intense and sounds bright and energetic and bam! It's kind of muted on the UK ones, even on the CDs. Check out Dizzy Miss Lizzy on the Rock and Roll Music compilation and tell me that that doesn't sound terrific. Dizzy Miss Lizzy, I'm choosing that one. And another song, by the way, like You're Going to Lose That Girl, where it's different title in the US. In the UK, it's Dizzy Miss Lizzy, Lizzy with a Y. For some reason, in the US, it's Lizzy with an IE at the end. I don't know why. But yeah, Dizzy Miss Lizzy wins. I love that song. But wait, I almost forgot. I have to do Another Girl taking on Fixing a Hole. You know, if the two songs were like on a streaming service or something and you could pick one to listen to, I would pick Another Girl. I get it that Fixing a Hole is a much more complex song. It's part of a broader picture of a more influential album. Another Girl's a silly Beatles song, but I like Another Girl more than Fixing a Hole. So that's where I'm going with that. So yeah, 6-8 with the champion being Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It was those 4 songs on side 2 that killed this one. But yeah, the Beatles, track versus track. Almost forgot to show you my Beatles Help Laserdisc. Second Laserdisc I've shown in like 3 videos. Because I got the Laserdisc box out, so, I got to show Laserdisc now. But yeah, it has the Laserdisc there and the Help Blu-ray. I got to check this out. It's been a while since I've seen that. I got to watch that again. But thank you so much for watching Track versus Track. Should I do more of these? What do you think? Not the Beatles. That's a pretty well-worn subject. Maybe other bands or whatever, but did you like this? Do you want me to see more, or is it more like, you know what, that's enough. That's enough. Let me know in the comments section. How would you have, when you rank the songs like the way I did, how would you have, what was your grand total there at the end? Was it Help winning or Sgt. Pepper? What were the numbers? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Robert Fithen, and hopefully I will talk to you later.